It looks like Danny Phantom Month came early this year because I am holding in my hands Danny Phantom, A Glitch in Time, the official graphic novel continuation of the Danny Phantom saga. That's right, I shit you not. This is real. And I've read it. And I really like it. I have no bias whatsoever. This is a completely objective review. Yeah, holy cow! This really exists. It's still kind of hard to believe, even though I've now fully read this and everything, that we actually have a real continuation of the franchise after so many years. There was like rumors about some type of graphic novel long while ago, and then like no news until just seemingly randomly, this got announced a little under a year ago, and now it's out. It's a real thing that exists. Today I just want to do a spoiler-free, kind of a first impressions take on the comic. I will be doing a more in-depth breakdown, like full spoiler review later on, probably next week, I'm thinking. So subscribe if you don't want to miss that. But I want to give everyone a chance to read it since it literally just came out. So if you are interested, I'll put a link in the prescription. Spoilers, I liked it. Recommend from me. But yeah, let's talk a little bit about this thing, I guess. So this is Danny Phantom, A Glitch in Time, written and illustrated by Gabriela Epstein. Backgrounds and colors by Killian NG. Not super duper familiar with Gabriela Epstein. She's done some other comics that I haven't read, but I'm a little bit curious now because I liked this. From the title and the cover, you could probably guess that this is the follow-up to The Ultimate Enemy, one of the best episodes of the show. Fan favorite episode, one of the most fondly remembered. The original episode, which is a time travel storyline where Danny faces off against an evil version of himself from an alternate future. Really cool episode, much darker than many of the other episodes of the show, and has a lot of really interesting ideas. And at the end of that episode, Danny defeats his alternate self, and evil Dark Danny is sealed away in a Fenton thermos, which is being held by the ghost Clockwork, the Master of Time. And although evil Dark Danny's timeline was averted, because of time travel shenanigans, he still exists outside of time, although he is now trapped. And that's the one like big cliffhanger from the show that never got wrapped up. And the series was unfortunately canceled at the end of its third season. And although many wished to see more of the series, it seemed like that was never going to get answered. That was going to be a thing that just was never followed up on. And we would just be wondering for all eternity. Because unlike other Nickelodeon shows like SpongeBob or Fairly Odd Parents, or stuff like Avatar that has had other comic book like continuations and stuff, Danny Phantom is is a lot more niche of a show. It has its dedicated fans for sure, but compared to a lot of other Nick's other stuff, it didn't seem like it was ever going to be something that would get a continuation in any form. So the fact that this exists at all is so cool. That alone is like kind of enough for me to like be into it. But I do have to give credit where credit is due. I think it is of quality. Let me read the part of the opening acknowledgement, or whatever you call this. It says, "To my parents, thank you for going to Burger King for a week straight in 2006 to get all the Danny Phantom toys." So right away, I could tell we're in good hands with Gabriela Epstein. You could tell that she has a great love and passion for this series and this franchise. So that is always nice to see. That's something I've always wanted to do, is track down all the Danny Phantom Burger King toys. Do you have any of them? Leave a comment. I don't know. Yeah, oh man, I have so many thoughts, and I'm not exactly sure where to start. Let's start with the art, because the art I think is pretty good. It's obviously rendered in a different style than the original series, although the characters are still like recognizably the characters. I think it works. It's like it's a lot more like exaggerated than the show typically is, and you can tell Epstein's not afraid to like go off model with the characters in order to like sell a joke or an emotion, and I like it. It definitely does a really good job of capturing the same feel of the original series while still feeling fresh and new. It's like a new coat of paint on something you already like. It's recognizably Danny Phantom, but still has like a fresh new flavoring to it. And the like extremely exaggerated dynamic posing and stuff helps to like give it a lot of energy that it might not have being a like still image comic versus like an animated series. I think it works pretty well. There are like a few moments that are maybe like a little bit too off model or a little bit too exaggerated for me, for my tastes, but for the most part, I really like the art. I think it's great. The comic itself is like it's a decent size. It's like somewhere between a like manga and like a standard American comic book. It's right around the same size as like an Amulet or like a Bone, which is like kind of the perfect format for a Danny Phantom comic. It's like right in the like sort of middle grade age range, like target demographic. I'm obviously a little bit older than that, but I still like it. And it's like a decent length too. It's about 182 pages, which is like pretty good for a graphic novel, especially thinking that like this might be all we get. I don't think that there's any guarantee that we're gonna get more comic books unless this sells like extremely well, and I have no idea if that's the case or not. I bought it, but of course I did. Look at me. So the fact that this is like a decent length is very nice, because there's a chance this is like all we get, and like I'm okay with, if this is all that we ever get, I'll be okay. I would love more, but this is like definitely a satisfying addition to the franchise. Okay, so I want to talk about a little bit about the story, but without trying to give too much away. The story is good. I liked it a lot. It's definitely a huge improvement on the majority of season 3, which is already like a win. And when you have like a brand new person coming on an established franchise, there's always like a bit of hesitation of like whether or not you know you're gonna end up liking it or not. But it becomes very apparent fairly quickly that Gabriela Epstein is like absolutely a fan of the series, and does a very good job capturing like the feel of the original series. There's a lot of jokes in here that feel straight out of the original show, and there's like brand new stuff in here that I like, and I didn't hate it. So that's good too. I think it's actually a very smart choice to bring on a brand new person to do the graphic novel. I'm not sure exactly like how that situation played out, but in any case, Butch Hartman's been kind of weird as of late, and so I'm kind of much more interested in seeing a brand new person's take on the franchise anyways, especially someone who's like clearly a big fan. Okay, so the story itself is interesting because it's not what I expected. In fact, the actual like titular glitch in time is actually like kind of a more minor thing in the story. It's definitely like important and plays a role in the main plot, but Danny and his friends end up doing this whole other adventure that is like connected to the time travel related stuff, but it goes in a direction that I think is actually much more interesting than those things, which I was already interested in. And we even explore the nature and the mythology of the ghost zone and like what it is and what its connection to the like physical world is. And we get like some major revelations about like some of the world building and lore of Danny Phantom, and I think it's pretty good. It actually like definitively answers some of the major questions about the series and like the rules of the world and stuff, which is like a big risk for a brand new person to like come in and be like, I'm gonna establish like what this stuff is. And I think it mostly works. And just even the fact that I don't hate it, that they're like going for stuff and I don't immediately hate it, is like a huge win. And that sounds like a low bar to clear. But you also have to remember that like Danny Phantom ended with him fighting a ghost meteor. So like the series like kind of took a bit of a dive in the last season, and so to see it like back on track in at the very least quality, but also in almost kind of righting the wrongs of some of the way that season 3 ended. And I'll go into this more in my spoiler review later on. But I really, really like the direction that it ends up going in. I'll just leave it at that. I do think there are a bit of pacing issues. That's like maybe one of my only gripes, because like so it's a new Danny Phantom thing. I was gonna enjoy it basically no matter what, or at least I was gonna have fun making a video about it, even if it sucked. It doesn't though, so that's nice. But there is a little bit of pacing things. It's very action-packed, like cover to cover. We jump right into the action, and it kind of never really slows down, which I totally get the need for and the want for. We're doing a Danny Phantom graphic novel that's a sequel to one of the biggest, most dramatic, most action-packed, most well-remembered episodes of the series. So, like, we want to have some big action in here. We want to have some big dramatic moments that make this feel like a worthwhile adventure. And also, like, again, there's not necessarily a guarantee that we'll get more than this, so we want to make this, like, feel as big and exciting as possible. So I absolutely get that. But I do still wish that it slowed down a little more and had a little bit more room to breathe and to just, like, exist in the world with these characters for a little bit. These characters that we haven't seen in almost 2 decades, which makes me sound so old, and I don't like it. I guess it's not quite that, but it's over 15 years. It's been a long time since the show wrapped up. And also because there are a few small, like, more intimate character moments in here, and they're all really, really good. So I just wanted, like, a little bit more of those type of moments. And there are also, like, some story reasons for why it's, like, more big action all the time versus, like, the first couple seasons where it's like, we're doing high school stuff, and it's like, we're going to class, and I have a crush on this girl, and that kind of thing. And why it's, like, not that anymore. Like, there are story reasons for why it is the way it is in this comic, and a lot of that has to do with the way that the show wrapped up. We completely take all the stuff from Phantom Planet where, like, he reveals his identity and, like, everyone knows that ghosts exist and stuff. So, like, Danny's relationship to everyone is, like, different at the start of this comic than it was for the rest of the series. So, like, there is story reasons for why it isn't just like, hey, we're in high school and we're dealing with, like, normal problems. It's like, no, there's, like, crazy ghost shit we have to deal with. But again, this is more of, like, a minor gripe, or even really a nitpick than anything, because it does get to some really cool character moments, and they're good, and they're interesting and cool, and I like the direction that it takes the characters. I just wanted, I think, a little bit more time in those moments. Especially with some of the stuff with Vlad, which I'll get into more later on. But I like the direction they end up taking with Vlad in this story. He's on the cover, so, like, I don't know if that's, like, really a spoiler that he comes back. But I think I wanted to see a little bit more of the progression of where he ends up. I like the angle they take with Vlad, but again, I just wanted, like, a little bit more. And that's, like, that's, like, kind of my main thing with this, is that I want more, which is good, because if you leave the audience wanting more, you probably did something right. Now, again, with trying to avoid giving too much away, while this does wrap up the main conflict of this story, it does leave room and even sets up a couple things that could lead to more stories going forward. Is there any plans for more graphic novels? Is that even something that we could get? I don't know. But I would absolutely love to see more. Like, this does feel like a satisfying follow-up to the show. And at the same time, it sets up some other things that I would like to see more of. Like, I could see some people not liking that, because, like, we just are finally addressing one of the only cliffhangers from the show, and at the same time, we're also kind of setting up stuff for potential future stories, which may or may not come to fruition. I don't know. I don't know that there's any more plans for more comics, although I would love to read more. So I could see that being frustrating for some readers. I'm not sure. I think we'll have to go into that more in detail on spoilers. But for me, I liked what's in here enough to be satisfied for now. And I definitely would love to read more if there ever is more. But the fact that we got this at all is like such a win for me that I'm like happy with this if this is all that we end up with. And what it does with the main characters and the like world building stuff is enough for me to chew on, that like I'm a happy fan. I'm a happy Phantom fan. Yeah, I think that's mostly it. Yeah, it's I liked it. I thought it was very fun. There's a lot of and again, you can absolutely tell that Gabriela Epstein is a fan of the series. There's a ton of references and callbacks to stuff from earlier episodes, but it mostly doesn't feel like references just for the sake of it. It's like specifically like keying in on specific moments that like raised questions and then like expanding upon those things that were brought up and answering some of those questions. I really like how that stuff is handled. That's all I can say at this point until spoilers. But yeah, Danny Phantom, A Glitch in Time. Are you gonna check it out? I recommend it, but of course I do. Look at me. If you have read it, what do you think? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I don't know. Let me know. And once again, I'm going to do a more in-depth spoiler breakdown, talking about the story in a lot more depth, but I want to give everyone a chance to read it if they are able to. I've seen some comments of people where this is not available in the place that they live, and that's unfortunate. So I'm hesitant to do a like full breakdown in the style of like some of the Teen Titans videos I've done and some of the other stuff, where I like talk about what happens in the whole story, because I don't want to like I don't want people to substitute my video for just actually reading the actual comic. I definitely recommend legit reading it and stuff, especially if you do want to see more Danny Phantom comics in the future, then you should absolutely support the official release and buy it. That's the easiest way to let Nickelodeon and the powers that be know that you want more Danny Phantom, is to buy this comic. So I don't know, we'll figure it out, but let me know if you're reading this. Let me know if you're able to read it, and if you're gonna pick it up, if you can find a copy somewhere. Because there's a lot more that I want to talk about that we'll get into in a spoiler-filled review, which will probably be out next week at some point. So stay tuned for that. But that's it for now. The Danny Phantom comic is here. It's good. I liked it. It's a good day. It's a good day. Thank you again for watching, and we'll see you next time.